Hi guys, I wanted to show you a couple of items that you may not have thought of. Now, you know, this isn't stuff, not necessarily stuff that can fit in your pack because, you know, face it, you've already got so much stuff in your pack, it's unreal. But, you know, a lot of people have heard, you know, take this, this, and this, and this. Well, that's fine. But if you've got a vehicle you can bug out with, of course, that's always preferable to doing it on foot or on a motorcycle or on a bicycle, or pushing a wheelbarrow, or whatever. A vehicle is always preferable. Now, one thing you may want to consider in your bug out preps is a buddy burner. Okay, what this is cardboard, coiled tightly in a tuna can, filled with hot wax, and then I put, I don't know if you can see them, well, one of the heads broke off, but I got a couple of matches down in there to make wicks, okay, so I can light them. There's 3 or 4 of them in there. One of them's underneath this big thing. I'd have to scrape that off. Do keep in mind that these things smoke really, really bad. Don't put one of these inside your tent. If you cook on it, expect to have to do a major cleanup job on your cookware because this puts out a lot of smoke. I was told there's some things don't put out as much smoke, maybe soy wax. I don't know. But this was just melted down candles that I got from down there at the thrift store. I put them in a double bowler, melted them up, made 2 or 3 of these, and I used one of them. And that's the experience that I had. It put so much black soot on the bottom of my pan. I ended up actually throwing the damn thing away. I was so disgusted with it because I couldn't get it clean, and I didn't have, at the time, I didn't have any way, you know, I didn't have a sink. I was traveling. I was using it because I was traveling, right? I figured, oh, okay, I got instant heat, right? But they do put a lot of soot on your stuff, but it's good to have, right? Nice for some light. You could heat up some water. You could actually boil water over that because once it gets going, it does pretty good. Another thing that might not be a normal everyday prep is oral rehydration salt. Okay, this right here will do 1 liter of water. Okay, so if you have a liter bottle, you pour this in, you mix it in, and then you drink it, and then you're galvanized with whatever carbohydrate stuff that you need. Okay, it's got potassium and citrate and glucose and sodium in it, so you know, this, I guess this is like the lesser tasty version of Gatorade. Okay, now that's one thing. Another thing is, for those of you who are cowboys and cowgirls and know how to ride, okay, and I couldn't find my little kit. I saw it over there a few minutes ago and I couldn't find it, but in your preps, in your vehicle, you may or may not want to take a halter, a lead rope, a bridle, a set of hobbles, okay, and at the very least maybe a bareback pad, okay. This is a curb chain. This goes underneath their jaw, okay. Hooks to the bit. Now you don't have to have the whole bridle. You can make a bridle out of rope real easy, but it only takes 2 items to really make that worthwhile. Now you could use this for the curb chain if you really wanted to, but it stretches once it gets wet, and a horse can get sweaty underneath there, and if it stretches too much and the horse is hard-mouthed, then of course, you know, you have no woe then. This is here, this will work. This one, I wouldn't carry all this stuff in my backpack, okay? This is stuff that I would have in my vehicle. Now another thing is something to sit on, okay? This is a backpacking chair. Now, I had 3 of these. This is the only one I can find. I've used one of these for years. This thing works great. Okay, it folds up. I used to put it behind the seat of my saddle. I tie it, and it's just a little bitty sling chair. Okay, but it's nice to sit on something that's not a rock. I'm not going to put it totally together, but you guys can see. Okay, it's just a little tripod. Pro tip: make the single point go out front, otherwise you'll fall over. But it just hooks right here. See, it just hooks right into there, this little thing right here, and it makes a sling chair for you to sit on. This stretches a little bit eventually, but not too bad. It never did stretch really bad for us. We used it on our horses all the time. We'd go riding and we'd stop for lunch, and rather than sit, and this was in Oklahoma, and there's a lot of ticks and chiggers there, and so you don't really want to sit on the logs and on the floor of the forest, or you can just get covered with bugs. So we would put these, and I had a leather case that I put this in because this, because behind the saddle it was more necessary because I needed something to be able to tie to this. But since I'm not using it riding anymore, since I can't ride anymore because I'm too crippled up, I put it back in its original little nylon case. Now this right here weighs, I don't know, a pound or two. I don't know exactly how much it weighs. You could put this in your pack, okay? You know, it depends on how heavy your pack is. Mine's going to be too heavy to have one of these. I'm pretty sure already. Would I love to have it? Absolutely. I'm not going to give up my tent or a portion of my shelter to have a chair, though, okay? I can sit on the ground, right? It's not that big a deal. But if you have problems with getting up, let's say you've got, both your knees are blown. It's a little hard to get up off the ground with that. You might want to consider something like a chair. Now the next thing is, depending on where you live, okay, now this all depends on where you live. And if you have a vehicle, because this is not something you're going to want to put in your pack. This right here is mosquito netting, okay? This one will fit over a queen size bed. It's an Army surplus, goes over the cot, it ties up, you know, it's got ties on it to tie it up and tie it out so that you can, it's got like a buttonhole right here. I think you can attach it to your tent, okay? This is the top corner, and you can tie it out to where it doesn't fall in on you. You could probably put this over a, hammock, okay? This is really fine mesh, but it's durable, because of course this is Army surplus, it has to be durable. This was like $15 or $18 or $20, something like that. And it folds up nicely. I'm just not doing that right now. And if you have a vehicle and you live in an area that's prone to bugs, whether that be mosquitoes, black flies, lots of different things, okay? You might want to consider having one of those in the trunk of your car, because there is nothing more irritating than almost being asleep and hearing them right on your ear, or feeling something bite you and you have to slap it and then you wake yourself up because you slapped yourself. So you definitely want to consider insects when you're bugging out or camping or backpacking. Of course, you don't want to put that in a backpack. That thing weighs a couple of pounds because it's pretty substantial. Another piece of Army surplus gear I got was this dry bag, okay? I've got two of these. I picked them up at the thrift store a couple of years ago. They're rubber coated. Now this doesn't have the thing where you fold it down and then clip it back. Okay, this is an Army deal. This is big enough to be for your whole backpack. Okay, this is like fits down in your backpack, keeps everything in your backpack dry. They have backpacks that like for canoeing. Seal Line makes them, I think. Now those are pretty nice, but they're expensive. But in order to get, see, it comes with cords attached. Okay, you gather it up, you twist it, and then you gooseneck it if you can, but at the very least you fold it over. But this stuff here goes around and around, okay? And if you can fold it twice to make it a gooseneck, like an S curve, that's best. All right, that would make it waterproof. It would hold air. It would float you across a river. Okay, it would keep your pack contents dry. It would make your pack more buoyant. Okay, because if you've got to cross a river and it's a little too deep to wade across, and you've got a 40-pound pack, what are you going to do? Okay, you could tie a rope to it, wade across without it if you have enough rope, and then drag it through the water to you. But if your pack can be at least negatively where it doesn't sink and it doesn't, be too buoyant, this would work for that. I've got two of these. Okay, one I'm going to put as a liner to the new pack I've got coming, and the other one's going to be around my sleeping bag. I would like to get the regular, dry bags, but I have those. So, like I always say, use what you have, right? I have those. That's what I'm going to use. Don't cost me no money to have them anymore because I own them. Another thing you're going to want in your kit that might not be something that you think about is you're going to want a decent shovel. Okay, not necessarily this one. A lot of people like those folding shovels. I think the handles are just a little too short because they're cut off at about here. Okay, I like this one's got a hand. It's got a handle You know, it's got the flat right here, so I can put my foot on there to dig. It's got a smaller, this is about 6 inches across, okay? It's got the smaller head on it. This isn't like a great big shovel. Now, you might want to put a bigger shovel in your car, like with a 6-foot handle. Something that, you know, there's different types of shovels. There's flat-ended, there's round-ended, there's the long skinny ones that are like for digging trenches. There's the big wide ones for scoop shovels, like for either snow or big feed scoop shovels, which the feed scoop works for snow as well. Or big aluminum shovels, and they're more durable than snow shovels. It depends on your expected area, your expected area's climate, okay? If you live up in the far north, you might want to consider having an, they have actually little short snow shovels that people use in sleds. Be careful which one you buy, okay? Some of them are crap. Some of them fold up and they just fall apart. If you're going to get a small, boy, I can't talk today at all. If you're going to get a small snow shovel, make sure that it is sturdy, okay? Because they're just really, traditionally speaking, they're plastic. Okay, so, you know, plastic is only going to be sturdy for so long. Even if you take real good care of it, the plastic is going to degrade, and after a couple of years, it's not going to be viable. It's going to get brittle, even if you take really good care of it and don't break it using it as a pry bar. So that's why I'm saying maybe something like the big metal scoop shovel. You can cut the handle down. Okay, some of them have long handles, and most of them got handles like this. Okay, put in your car. This one right here, I could hang this off the back of my pack, and I may, depending on the weight of my pack and what all I've got on it and in it. I may or may not put this in there. I'm leaning towards yes, but I'm the kind of girl that wants to go tool heavy in my pack, because the tools make my life easier. I can do a lot of things, but it takes me 10 times longer if I don't have any kind of a tool to do it with. So you want to consider a good shovel. The next is a dry box. Okay, this one's got a rubber seal. Okay, they have different sizes. They have bigger ones, like for cell phones and things like that. They've got smaller ones, and I've got one that's it's only about this wide, and it's not as thick, and it's actually credit card size, and that goes around my neck. And that's what I keep my driver's license and stuff in when I'm traveling, so that I don't lose it. If somebody steals my purse, I've still got my ID. It tucks right down in my bra. Nobody ever knows it's there. But you need something to be able to keep something safe in, okay? Like your ID, any cash that you have, anything important that you absolutely cannot get wet. If you've got some thumb drives with all your personal information on them, you want to keep them in something to keep them dry. And this is a hard case. It's not going to crush unless you have to really get mean to crush this thing. It's not, like I said, it's not going to crush. It's not going to leak. Okay. It's got a rubber seal on the inside right here, so that when it goes down and you cinch it down, it's sealed. It's watertight. They have different kinds. You'll see them everywhere. They have them at Walmart. They have them online. Army surplus places a lot of times will have them. If you have access to an Army base, they have them at the PX. So you're going to have something like that. And the last thing is a block and tackle. Okay, I couldn't find mine. I looked for it for about 15 minutes and I couldn't find it. And it fits in a little, it fits in a small, it fits in a bag about like that big. Okay, it's not very big. It's kind of a cheapo one. I think I got it at Harbor Freight. But a block and tackle can save you a ton of work. Okay. And the reason being is because let's say you got a deer, okay? You need to get it up off the ground so you can clean it up and cut it up, okay? You're going to have some sort of a hoist for that. If the deer weighs like 300 or 400 pounds, which is a big deer, but let's say it's a big fat deer, right? I'm not strong enough to lift it. So a block and tackle would be ideal for me. Let's say I need to haul a log up the hill to burn, but it's kind of a steep hill. Okay, I can take the block and tackle apart, tie one end of the rope to a tree up the hill, walk down the hill to the log, okay, tie a rope around it to where it'll stay good, hook the tackle, hook the pulley to that, run the rope through it, walk up the hill, and then sit there and use the pulley to just reel that sucker in. There's a lot of things you can use a block and tackle for, and you know, you may want to consider that. And the next thing that I can think of, I think I already showed you guys that one, was a fuel transfer pump. You can, you know, get one that's brand new, like I did over Harbor Freight, and yeah, it's cheap and cheesy, but it'll work. It's got the hoses and stuff, and you can use it for water too. You know, you just can't, you know, go do gas and then go do water and drink it. That wouldn't work. But common sense will tell you that. But if you know, if in an shtf situation and you're running low on fuel, and it's been a pandemic, and you're one of the very few that survived, and you need fuel, you need some way to get that fuel into your vehicle. Now, a lot of vehicles now have an anti-siphon screen inside. I think you can get a brass. You don't want to use metal, but I think you can get a brass, that's like a long rod, and punch through the screen. If not, you'll just have to crawl up underneath and cut the rubber hose going into the gas tank and then go from there. That's the best way I know. You know, you don't want to do like what Mad Max did and knock a hole in it and put a hubcap underneath it. That's not necessarily the best way to do that. So you're going to want some sort of a transfer pump. Okay. Keep it new unless you absolutely have to use it. Don't use it unless there's no other choice. But that's not something you're going to want to put in your backpack. That's going to be something that goes in your car. Okay. And in your car, you're going to want a few hand tools. You're going to want a jack and some slime and a tire repair kit. The plugs. Okay. You can buy those little plug kits down there at Harbor Freight as well. I think they're $2 or $3, something like that. They're super cheap. I think you can get them at AutoZone and places like that. And you're going to want to get a little 12-volt air pump, one that plugs into your cigarette lighter and pump the air into your tire. Because let's say you get a nail, your tire goes flat. Okay, you plug it, and that's great. But how you need to be able to put air back in it. So a little 12-volt pump is good. Now, Slime sells kits. It's got the bottle of slime, and it's got the air pump and whatever else it needs. So now they're noisy. So if you're trying to be stealthy, those wouldn't work so good. But they would get you back on the road unless you had a total blowout and your hull, you had a big hole in your tire. You could use a plug on it. Now be careful with the plugs, because if you have to plug a sidewall, that can blow out on you. So you definitely want to be careful how you plug your tire. Now, would it get you, creeping along at 2 miles an hour the rest of the way up the mountain to where you could get to some place where you feel safe? Yeah, you probably get that. So you want to have that in your car kit. So tire plugs. What else can be considered an unusual prep? Of course, the S hooks that I showed in the last video I just recorded, to put in there with your kit so you can hang things. You can hang those on your ridge line to hang your pots and pans, or whatever the case may be, so that you have a little bit more organization, because organization is going to be key. If you happen to dig through and you're throwing everything else and it's all scattered around you on the ground, yeah, it's going to be hard to put everything back and keep everything in decent working order. So you definitely want to have that. Went over the tack. That. Okay. I think we have just about completed this video. I want everybody to hit, if you would, please, hit the thumbs up. I'd prefer that to the thumbs down every time. A thumbs up. Like, comment, share with your friends. Please share it, because that helps me. Check out my links down below for an EMP unit, $50 off coupon. And y'all come back and see me.